Speaking of interesting things, the Mets have been linked in a trade rumor. Of course, this past weekend, the news came out that the Mets are eyeing Luis Robert Jr. of the Chicago White Sox. Luis Robert Jr., one of their best players in recent history, huge slugger, a Cuban export who has come to Major League Baseball. He's been hurt the last couple of seasons. Seems to be fully back on board here. However, batting 186 with 5 home runs and 16 RBIs, poor numbers, but anybody who's supposed to be a star playing on a team like the Chicago White Sox, who last season that Chicago White Sox team broke the all-time win-loss record for most losses in the season, a record that I almost thought would have never been broken, that was set originally by the 1962 Mets. Thank you, Chicago, for bailing us out. But Luis Robert, interesting dynamic here. Of course, he's a star slugger for the White Sox, just having a down year this year. From the tape I've seen on Robert this season, he seems to be unmotivated. And again, you're a star player playing in a rebuilding team. Why would you be motivated to produce? That's just my opinion. But Robert, I'm surprised, wasn't traded last season. Again, the White Sox were a dumpster fire. They fielded offers for Garrett Crochet, their starting pitcher last season. He didn't go until this offseason to the Boston Red Sox. They held on to him after the deadline. They did the same thing with Luis Robert. And Luis Robert at one time was one of the most feared sluggers in all of Major League Baseball. Luis Robert made his debut in the 2020 shortened COVID season. And for the most part, Luis Robert has been more unavailable than available. I mean, there were only 60 games in the 2020 season. He played 56 out of the 60. 2021, he played 68. 2022, he played 98. Most available year was 2023. He played 145 games out of 162. 2024, he played 100. He's played 37 so far this season. Lifetime, he is a 262 hitter, 93 home runs, 26 RBIs. He is a stolen base thief, however. He has 15 stolen bases this year. My take on Luis Robert, I think with a change of scenery, his numbers will drastically improve. Looking at Luis Roberts' career numbers here, his best year was batting wise was 2021. He had a 338 average. In a full season that he played in 2023, he was a 264 hitter. That same year, 38 home runs, 80 RBI. And I think that this guy could be another Yoenis Cespedes. You plug him in a lineup where he has help, because outside of Andrew Vaughn, he has no help offensively in that White Sox lineup. You put him in this current Mets lineup, and he'll be surrounded by Lindor, Soto, Alonso, and no discredit to Brandon Nimmo and Carlos Mendoza, but Brandon Nimmo is not a cleanup hitter. You could plug a guy like Luis Robert in as your number four. Could plug him in as a number three and move Pete down to four, even though I like Pete batting behind Soto, or you can move Soto to three, put Robert at two, whatever you want to do. Currently, Luis Robert Jr. is the cleanup hitter for that White Sox lineup, but I like Luis Robert a lot as another guy who adds speed. When you have guys like Brandon Nimmo who steal bases on a team, now we have another stolen base threat in Luis Robert Jr. The White Sox are reported to want Blade Tidwell if the Mets and the White Sox make any type of a deal here. Um, I'm going to give you guys my take on what a deal should look like. Here you see the graphic here, mock trade between the Mets and the White Sox should they do business. If I'm the Mets, I'm going to want Luis Robert Jr., and I'll even take Mike Vasil. Now, Mike Vasil is a reliever for the aforementioned White Sox. The Mets do need bullpen help. Mike Vasil, I believe, can be a good bullpen piece. His current numbers as they stand on the season, he's made appearances in 12 games. He's 2-1 with a 1.88 ERA, 15 strikeouts in 24 innings pitched. He is a rookie, so he's going to have minor league options. This is his first year in the bigs, so they could send him up and down between Syracuse and Flushing should things work or not work out. Then, if I'm the Mets, I'm going to give up prospect Don Hamill, who is a pitcher. I'll give them Tidwell. Tidwell was called up for one start in St. Louis earlier this season, got shelled, has an ERA north of 15. We still have Brandon Sproat in the minors, so losing Tidwell is not going to hurt all that much. I mentioned in a Metropolitan Report short and on the last edition of the report that I am okay giving up Ronnie Mauricio because I don't see him fitting in this ball club when he's healthy. Of course, with Acuna and Lindor and Vientos all manning the positions that Mauricio plays, we just don't have any room for him. So I don't mind parting ways with Ronnie. And Brett Beatty, who I don't believe in right now, I'm okay with doing that swap. Beatty, Mauricio, Tidwell, and Hamill for Vassell and Robert Jr. Now, as the rumored reports have stated, talks between the two sides have not heated up yet. They're just in preliminary discussions. Right now, everything is a rumor until proven otherwise. But I would like the acquisition of Luis Robert Jr. I think you're going to get a great bat. You're going to get some good base speed, and you're going to get decent defense, especially because he can play center field, a position that's been in flux ever since Jose Siri got hurt. That would make the Jose Siri situation when he's ready to return a couple months down the line even more complicated. But I do like the addition of Luis Robert Jr. here in Flushing. I do like the idea of him batting fourth in the lineup. So I am okay with a Luis Robert acquisition.